Grandmaster Facts Voice, and this is the Facts Project, where basically we talk to our favorite people and see how nerd culture has influenced them through their entire spectrum of life. Today's guest, all right, this is special because we got the Grand Duchess of Tech herself, Tatiana King-Jones. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Nah, I appreciate you because for one, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the Fan Bros. I'm a fan for all nerds. I've been through this through and through. So I have a boatload of questions.
Yeah.
Mainly centering around what brought you to this space. Now you are a graduate of Howard University.
HU, you know? Yes, I am.
Yeah. Now, when you first came on campus, when you first came on live, being the Blerd that you are, did you know that generally when you first came on campus that there were other people like you when you got there?
No. But for different reasons though. That was being at Howard. Me and others are similar, but that was my first experience being in an educational environment where it was generally 99.9% Black people.
Right.
And not only that, is Black people from across the diaspora. So that was the first time I was able to have a situation where all day, every day on campus, you have Black people from Europe and Black people from different countries in Africa and Black people even from Asia. Like you have, and of course the US, but regionally, it's all different types of cultures and backgrounds and styles and everything that goes into it. So just overall, the experience was amazing and it was completely different. So I knew just going into that pool of people that I had to find somebody that was going to be into geek nerd culture. I just didn't realize the extent of it. I wouldn't say that I was like in a whole bunch of different like anime clubs and things like that, but I did run into a lot of people who were into the same things I was in. So we would meet up, game, have the debates, the whole nine.
Yeah, because I looked you up, and even though you were you earned a marketing degree, you went in for engineering.
I did. I'm still consider myself an engineer. I went in for computer science, and like that was like I had like a little scholarship from my high school to help me with that, and then I was in computer science major for 2 years, the first 2 years of schooling. And I absolutely hated it. Not even gonna lie. Like when I look back, I hate it mainly because I had to do stuff on other people's time. Like I had to learn certain languages, program language on other people's time. I had 8 a.m. class, and I'm not a morning person. So, and that was my freshman year. And it's interesting because even though like I love school, like if I had to go to school every day for the rest of my life, I would. I fucks with it like that. Sorry. No. Okay.
Let it fly.
Okay. So I'm really into education. I like it. I like have fun. But when it comes to stuff like that I really love, I would like to learn it when I want to learn it and solve my own problems. I don't want to be up in the labs 2:00 in the morning working on stuff that I really don't care about. And also, I mentioned not being a morning person. So it was a hard transition for me to go into that and then wake up mad early to talk and think through concepts I just didn't care about. So I wasn't doing well at all. Now, fast forward to now, like I learn all sorts of things on my own, have no problem. It's great. It's just that structure wasn't for me. So I had to recalibrate, had to rethink things about what I want to do. I'm both a very highly analytical and creative person. I have a good mix of the two. And after talking with my parents and talking with friends and stuff, they was like, well, maybe you need to go into business and particularly into marketing, because that will help pull in all of your different skill sets. So that's why I ended up with a marketing degree.
Okay. And could you obviously tell that the evolution was happening, because not only that, but you ended up writing for the school newspaper, right? The Hilltop.
Yeah, I did. That's crazy. Yeah, you was definitely digging. I don't even know if you can't even get the excerpt of what I wrote, but I wrote for the Hilltop. I'm a writer in general.
Yeah.
So I was doing my little journalism / investigative reporting / not really. I'm making like I was working for the New York Times. Like no, like I was just writing things like, just like assignments they would give us, like, oh, go cover some event that happened on campus, or if there's some controversy in the CAF, let's go talk about it, stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and I wrote for about technology mainly.
Right. That's basically now, would you say that your advocacy garnered from your experience starting to write about technology and basically all things that started from geekdom right then and there?
Way before that, way
Way
before
before.
that, since I was a kid.
Yeah, okay.
I've always been into tech, in period. I've always been, as I mentioned, yeah, in my head, I've always been an engineer, but I've always been interested in technology and learning about it myself, learning how the inner workings
Mhm.
come about, how to teach other people how it works. It I don't remember how old I was. Could have been like 12, something like that. 12, 13, something like that. I don't remember. But it started with it started with fixing my own computer.
Mm,
Um, I've told a story before, but I'm gonna do the short version. Short version
okay.
is I had a back in the day, you had to see the big CPUs or whatever.
Mhm.
It broke down and we couldn't figure out what was going on. And at the time there were like PC repair. I feel like there still are, but people don't go to them no more. But the
Oh,
PC repair shops,
they're there. Ain't
they're
nobody pulling
there,
up.
right? But I don't think people fuck with it anymore. But anyway, my mom took it to the PC repair shop because it wasn't turning on at the time. They
Mhm.
had like a busted power supply. They fixed it, gave it back to us. Worked great, but then the CD-ROM didn't work.
Mm.
And I was just like, and in my head, and I don't know if that's just me or what, but I was like suspicious, that's sus, something. It was working fine before it went in.
Right.
So I found the manual for the computer and I was just reading through. I was reading, looking at all the schematics and all that stuff and just learning what each part did.
Mhm.
And then I was like, you know what? And also had like diagram. I said, you know what? Let me just figure it out myself. So I literally I grabbed all the tools, grabbed my flathead, grabbed my screwdriver, opened it, went and did the side by side comparison, read through, as I mentioned, learned what each part did, and then I
Mhm.
figured it out. Some motherfucker unplugged a IDE cable, meaning the cable that connects the CD-ROM to the
Yeah.
motherboard. They unplugged it, and apparently it was done purposely to make us keep coming back.
Wow.
So after that, I was just like, yo, never again, because I never want to be in a position where people can take advantage of me based on stuff I don't know.
Right.
No, you can't know everything, but if you can learn, then I would rather just know it. And also, it was just interesting
Mm.
because that I mean, even before that, growing up, my grandfather, he's always been an engineer. He's been an engineer. He passed recently, but his entire life he's been an engineer, both civil and computer science as well. So I've always had that in my blood. You know, I watched him put together computers, ask him questions, and it was just a lot of that nurturing throughout. And then
Right.
obviously, throwing like all the tertiary stuff, I guess, like gaming and
Mhm.
all the culture that goes around it.
Damn. Man, that's
Yeah.
amazing. For real.
Yeah.
So did that start the engineering track?
Yes, absolutely.
That's what it
Absolutely.
was like. Yeah, we're gonna push her towards engineering.
Yeah, and my parents, I wouldn't say they pushed, but they always encouraged. They would my
Okay.
parents, especially my dad. Like I grew up like, I had my Barbies with her, but I also had RC cars. I also
Mm.
had rockets. Like
Mm.
I had all of that stuff because I was into that real heavy.
Right.
And especially my dad, like once he found that out, that's all he kept buying me. Like he was like, oh, we going to the hobby store, we getting this, we getting that. Like, we putting together the chemicals and like launching rockets. I don't even know if kids do that no more, but going outside of the park, launching
Right.
rockets. I had a rocket once that had like a camera on it, and it would take pictures as it was going up or coming down, one or the other. So
Mm.
then you could see real high. This before drone, so that was our
Yeah.
drone. um, but yeah, I was definitely encouraged from a young age to keep pushing that love, and like I mentioned, being very creative and analytical, just playing with rockets and then writing stories about it
Mm.
and little fiction. Like it just kept growing in that way.
Right. And it ended up turning into a passion.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, and one that will never not be a passion. I can't help it. I just like it. I think it's cool. I just mentioned rockets. That just reminded me. I was watching the SpaceX launch a
Mhm.
couple of days ago. Is it a couple of days ago? Yeah, I think it's a couple of
Yeah.
days ago now. Where they just they did a supply mission to the International Space Station, and I was just in awe watching like the first stage, the booster that gets it up into
Yeah.
space, like watching it return on its own
Yeah.
back to the ship. Like that's like the 30 something time they did it, but seeing that stuff, I don't know, it just excites me. I'm just like, wow,
Yeah.
technology. Oh my God, it's science, it's magic.
We
It's
remember back
great.
in the 80s, you pretty much saw like a pod fall from the sky with a parachute and then drop in the ocean, and they had to go collect homeboy. Now you're seeing ships actually like land vertically.
And that's so interesting because like that was before my time. So to watch stuff like that on YouTube, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh shit, like, that's how it was. And to your point, like this it just seems like we've come so far
Mm-hmm.
in so little time, but also it's just like I feel like, we should still be further ahead than we are now.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, can you please tell me, what made you start? Well, first off, what came first? Was it your writing projects or was it podcasting?
Oh, writing has always been first. I've been writing, like, when I say like that, I mean writing short stories,
Mhm.
writing long form stories, like just writing poetry, all that stuff. I've been writing my whole entire life. That's another thing. I've always been reading, writing, and then engineering. So that's always been on the board. I
Right.
was blogging for a little bit. Um, I don't know, like the 2013 time, like around that time, like
I remember. Yep.
I was going into all that worlds anyway. And then um I I was on a podcast before, talking about geek stuff, and
Okay.
that ended. And that's when I got I saw a tweet from DJ Ben Hameen, and he was like, "Oh, I'm looking for women to talk about geek and pop culture, and well, really geek nerd culture." And at the time, like I said, I had just got off a podcast talking about that, and I was just like, "Oh, here's a new opportunity, and it's in New York." And this
Right.
person went to Howard, because at the time, I was following him. He used to post, not exactly legally, but post albums and music and stuff like that. So
Got you.
that's how I knew of him. So he put that out. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna join that. So he gave me a chance. He gave me and another girl, Jamie Rigetti,
Hmm.
a chance to come in, and we tested. And wildly enough, our first guest was Prodigy from Mobb Deep. So like, just being thrown in the fire. Now,
Yeah.
I already had a little bit of an edge because the prior podcast I was on, we did it live. So I fucked up and gone through the whole situation. So I learned
Right.
how to
Right.
handle myself. So to be in a
Okay.
situation where everything's recorded and going to be edited later, it was a little bit actually easier. What wasn't easy is having the very first time interviewing a celeb, and
Yeah.
sitting right next to them, and talking about aliens and stuff. So it was wild, but it was like, I was like, yo, you just better fake it till you make it. This is what you want to do.
Yeah.
And it worked out. We got along very well. It sounded good. And fast forward now, we in business.
Yeah. For real.
Yeah.
Because I remember, well, not only I remember Ben Amin talking about that first episode. Actually, he talked about it recently.
Mm,
About it was, I think it was on the anniversary of Prodigy's death. He brought up the fact that it was a
mhm.
picture taken with all you guys, and that was the first Fan Bro show.
That was
Eh,
literally the first official Fanbro show. I I haven't listened to it in years. I probably don't. Probably
mm,
sound like trash, but it was the first test to show like this is possible. This is real. This could work, and it's
right
interesting.
now, what would you say the description of the show was when you first saw it, when you started it?
Well, that's interesting because even though I was on the first quote unquote official episode,
Yeah,
that wasn't the first episode.
that was like a
So
pilot.
yeah, it was more like a pilot. The first episodes, they had at least two or three episodes before that point, and it came from Combat Jack. It came because he had his Combat Jack show,
Hmm.
pioneer in podcasting. Salutes to him. I love him. I miss him. The Fan Bros, as it was called, was always his idea. He's always been into comics, heavy into comics, heavy into the culture, and he wanted to, like, it didn't really fit in that main show, so he wanted to talk about it. So he did this separate show. Ben was kind of like a co-captain there, and then you had like, I'm exaggerating, but like 20 other niggas on the show.
Hmm.
So
Right.
so he was like, yo, Ben, he gave the reins to Ben, say, hey, I need you to grow this, build this up. So he did, and at first it was cool, but then Ben Amin was just like, yo, I don't want to be on a show with all these niggas. Like, I just don't want to be talking about this type of stuff and just hearing niggas. Like, we need some women on here. We need some feminine energy, something. So that's why he did the reach out, and then it ended up being four of us. It ended up being Ben Amin, Chico Leo, myself, and Jamie Rigetti.
Oh, okay. So let's fast forward. August
Mm-hmm.
15th, 2018. The,
Uh,
the title was New Name Who Dis.
yes.
And you guys, you guys decided to change the name of the show. Is that free to talk about?
Absolutely. Especially because it's like a done deal now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
as I mentioned, this show was originally called Fan Bros. Came from Combat Chat and stuff. It was at first it was not an issue because again, this was Combat Jack. It was a whole bunch of niggas. Everybody was having a great time. Awesome. But as we and very quickly started to expand and grow the show and grow our reach,
Right.
it became apparent a few things. So that term bros at the time was getting a very starting that journey towards a bad connotation. It was mainly as we call the white dude bros who would come in and do the typical gatekeeping and other BS. And also, even though we meant it to always be gender agnostic, anytime people would see bros, they would just think, okay, there's gonna be a bunch of men there, and then they see me and Jamie or just me, and they just like, wait a minute, where y'all the bros? Now you can say, oh, that's not a really big deal, but when we're talking about branding, you want to be as specific and simple as possible. And if you have something where people are gonna or a name or whatever that where people are going to make up their own connotations and their own biases before they even know what you are, then and which is going to happen. But if you don't steer that properly, then people are going to have the wrong idea. And that's people just constantly, people meaning PR, celebrities, talent, anybody, everyone generally kind of had the wrong idea about what we were before we even open our mouths. And because of that, it was like, look, we have to, and again, maybe that's the marketing degree talking, but I was just like, look, we have to come up with a solution that continues the spirit of what we are, but it's also just from a business standpoint, it just works better. And we're grateful because Fan Bros was always, at least the beginning part, was always an acronym. The fan always meant for all nerds. So I was just like, well, hell, why don't we just call ourselves For All Nerds?
Right.
So it took 2 years to really finalize and confirm and get it done, because of course, as you can imagine, there's pushback. It's just like, yo, we've been doing Fan Bros for years. Why not we gonna change it? I remember talking to Combat about it. He was just like, I don't know, man. Is that like, are we doing a situation where we're changing the name of Coca-Cola and Pepsi? And I was just like, yo, chill. We're not there yet. It was a great conversation, but after a while we would just look, we need to change the name. Right. And so we changed it, and I never regret it. Ben Hameen could tell you he don't regret it, and it's the best thing we did for the brand, really, because except for like really super OG people who were like, why y'all changing the name? Y'all trying to be all lives matter? Like, no, that's not what we're doing. It's just from a business and growth perspective, we had to make this move, and it was the best thing we could have done.
Good. Now during this time, For All Nerds has not missed a beat. And you've actually had times to branch off from time to time, like you've done with Game of Thrones and recently with Lovecraft Country. So exactly. you had Castle Black podcast, you had the Safe Negro podcast.
Right.
And each of those had their own entities to where you and Ben have had the time to bring in someone of that genre who was pretty heavy, like fickle fanned.
Yes.
into that genre. So like how do you describe like they basically like taking those steps to be like, okay, if we're going to jump into this and we jump into it totally, we got to put somebody else on board, and we're going to do this shit week after week after week.
Yes, absolutely. Usually the first line, particularly from Ben, is it's got to be another woman. It's like, because once again, he realizes that just the power of a woman's voice is just, from our perspective, and obviously, just literally hearing our voice, he just said it's just, especially on topics like that, it just has a lot more weight. So he always like, yo, whatever we can do, always bring another woman in. Cool. But then as far as like going into that, for us, it's always about, we want to present as well, interesting. Yes. We're entertaining and all that other stuff, but we also want to be as informed as possible. And everyone in life has to understand you can't know everything, and that is okay. You should surround yourself with people smarter than you, people who know more about the subject than you, or know about it in a different way than you think. So that's why we brought on the third party. Like, typically they were the person who read the books, or like in the case of Castle Black, rest in peace, Mia, Deadly Diva. That was her at name. She was a huge fan, always read like every Slash consonant of that book. So she knew it frontwards and backwards.
Right.
I never read the book and I never will read the book. Ben Hameen maybe read some of the book.
Right.
But having those three different perspectives and being able to review the show, like the TV show, that made all the difference. Like people really appreciated that, and they appreciate the fact that we was going so deep into it in different like zones. And same situation with Safe Negro Pod with Lovecraft Country. It's just that having a different perspective. We all read the book profusely, like we love reading the book, but Portia, that's literally her job. Like her job is to read and review literature, and so she has a more academic approach to it than we may not have. So mix it all that together, you get a show that's fun and entertaining, but at the same time we know what we're talking about. We put lots of research into it. We regardless of which direction we all coming from, we still do a lot of research. We still do a lot of work because we want to give you a polished product. Like we don't want to just be there yapping, or not telling y'all nothing, or just like, we just want to be there for the people. So that's how we go about these things.
And it is okay, like when you guys create these podcasts off to the side and everything like that, there's no misdirection or anything like that. Like people just basically fall in line because you guys basically put out the marketing through Loudspeakers Network, and just like it's a full go. Now, when you bring these topics up to upper management that you want to do this, like how was that received? Like when you first wanted to do Castle Black, how was that received?
Well, funny thing about that, I am upper management. So as is Ben.
Okay.
So you're your own boss.
That answered my question.
You can make the decisions. So I spoke to upper management. Upper management said,
I looked in the mirror.
And then I did it. So
damn.
Yeah, but I mean, if anything, Ben Hameen and I, we just have the conversation. We have the conversation. We have planning conversations. We do our just we have meetings essentially. Like we just have the meetings and talk through things like, how do we want to do this? We figure out how many episodes are happening. What's the timing going to be like? When are we going to watch? When we want to record? Obviously, we'll, except for like Castle Black, for any other show, we'll get the episodes ahead of time so that we can be on a particular schedule. But no, we speak about it. We commiserate. We say, all right, cool. You in on this? I'm in on this. Boom, a podcast.
Right. That's what's up. Now. I'm an old school head. So what do you say in the case of biting, like people biting your podcast? Because like
biting,
I'm sure you've seen a lot of other podcasts out there, a lot of other geek podcasts out there that generally resonate the fact where you listen in and you're like, they kind of copy, they copying like a motherfucker. Hold on.
Yeah, all these bitches is my sons. No, I'm just being rude. No. Honest, I think it's flattering, and I think that if we are able to serve as a blueprint for other people to put their voice out there, then do it, because I feel like I don't see it as biting. I just see it like people are using us as inspiration. And because I know our show is so good, because I know it's so well put together and researched and approached, if people are taking the good things from that and applying it to their experience, then I'm happy. I'm happy with it. It's like, it's nothing else I can be happy with. Otherwise, I'd be the hater. Right. And it's just like, why would I hate on something that was born from something I created? That's what my purpose is. I'm here to influence. I'm here to inspire. So, and I say that with it's difficult because I'm getting in the habit of saying stuff like that and not being scared to say it, because sometimes it sounds like not being humble, but I'm like, fuck that. Like, it's 2020, everything's on fire. You have to stand up for things that you've put out in the universe that are positive. So yeah.
But well, this is coming from someone who's been a part of such panels as Comic and Law Enforcement, or how the Black Twitterverse is changing pop culture, social media and the law. You know what I'm saying? So like, I look at the panels that basically you discuss. It doesn't come from a place where you're trying to be shy.
No, no. And that's maybe that's why nowadays I do podcasts, because if you came to me in like maybe up through high school, I was like, I'm not talking to nobody. I'm not.
Right.
Like, I'm not raising my hand. Like, I would say I was shy, but then shyness went just being an introvert. And now I'm kind of the opposite. I'm an introverted extrovert. Like, if I, I'll be on the podcast and I'll be in the mix and all that stuff. But it's just like, if someone's like, yo, you just need to stay home, read a book. I'd be like, okay, I'll be good with it. But I'm like, all right, fine, no problem. That's why actually the pandemic, a lot of people have a problem with being in the house and not going nowhere. I actually like, this is fantastic.
Introvert. I have a mic in my house.
Yes, I'm like, I'm great. But no, I know that I have to put myself out there. Like I've always had to learn that I have to push myself out there so that I can solidify my space in this world. And if that means it's podcasting or writing or whatever, then do it.
Now, through various mediums of social media, would you say that Blerds, Black Nerds, Black Geeks have had a louder megaphone in culture than they've had maybe 5-6 years ago?
Absolutely louder. And it's definitely because of social media. That's I feel like that's 100% the reason why. I'm trying to think of some other mechanism as to where that could have happened, but no, absolutely. Now, is it where it needs to be in terms of a bigger microphone? No, absolutely not. Like we still don't have all the real like actual power that I believe that we need and deserve and are still working towards. And by that power, I mean like massive platforms. Like if you think of places like Nerdist or Sci-Fi and things like that, like there should absolutely be a massive Black led platform. And that's essentially what we're driving towards with For All Nerds. But do I think we're in a better place than we were 5-6 years ago? Absolutely.
Nice. Now the intro to the show. Explain to me how long y'all been practicing those also known as. So some of my favorites. Method mansplaining.
Mine are on my phone.
Yours are on your phone?
They're on my phone. So first of all, I don't memorize all of them. Ben Hameen is good for memorizing them. I'm talking about so much other stuff. I just don't want that in my head. Like I need the RAM space. So I have them written down in my notes. And then they have recently all got deleted, like years of stuff got deleted. So I had to start over. But Ben Hameen is the one really who memorizes most of them. As far as how we go to the process, they just come to us. Right. Like we just sitting there and like talking about something dumb. Usually we're by ourselves, but if we're together, we may be talking about something dumb and then be like, yo, what about this? And we'll run it by each other and we'll tell each other like, y'all, no, that's whack. Or maybe that might work, whatever. So it's funny because you listen to the show, you know how Ben Hameen like normally it's kind of like, nah, sir, I don't like that. I don't like that, AKA. So it's funny that we do that to each other too. Right. So I want people to know, like, it's not me or Ben picking on you. Like, oh, AKA. No, we do that to each other. Like, y'all, nah, man, that AKA was mid. Like, you need to come with something better. So,
because I noticed that through Geekly Asked Questions, because people start to do their own AKAs as far as
and I see that it's become a game now. I see it's become a game now where people are just like, some people are like just giving us terrible ones, just they want to hear Ben Hameen's reaction, and some people really are trying, and they want to know what we think. So,
right,
keep them coming. I appreciate it. I think it's fun.
Now, if you could describe that partnership that you have with Ben.
That's my brother. That's my that's as much as my brother as blood could be. You know what I'm saying? Like it's because of him that I'm in the position that I'm in the first place. He's the one who put out the call. He's the one that said, yo, Tatiana, yes, come through. For All Nerds wouldn't exist if not for him bringing me in. So I would say that. So I look up to him and appreciate him, but he's also my brother. Like, I love him. So we've always had a good working relationship. We've always been both very creative and being able to bounce ideas off of each other. And yes, like we learn differently and may work differently, but we're still compatible. And just from a business standpoint, like we're still very good with weaving together ideas to come up with something greater. And it's an easy relationship too. And that's probably why everything has been so successful and continue to go, because we're at the point now, we're just that's my brother, that I'm his sister. Like, we're going to just talk to each other, be like, yo, bro, I don't like when you did X, or what do you think about this? Like we will have the conversation. And I guess what I'm getting at is we have good communication.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now does this happen off topic too? So like basically if you're home and you're watching something and you want to chime in on something that possibly could be notated for the show, have you taken the time to be like, yo, I gotta text him real quick?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We
hold up.
Yeah, and we text and talk about life just in general.
Right.
It's like we see something funny, we send it to each other, whether it's about For All Nerds or not. Like we still communicate. So
Mhm.
Yeah, like we're real friends, and I think that's why everything is so it's good. Like we respect each other, we respect each other's hustle, we respect each other's mind, and respect each other's boundaries.
Mm,
And I think that's what makes a partnership work. Like if
true.
y'all don't have that mutual respect on all them on many levels, but especially those levels, then you might not get far.
Yeah, no, the most definitely. Now, as far as being a black woman in a geek space, is there any in it? Is there anybody that basically inspires you, maybe a little bit older, or somebody that's been doing it maybe a little bit longer? Is there anybody that comes to mind?
In the geek space,
Yeah,
um, well, first things first, shout out to Combat Jack.
yeah,
Um,
he
he's the
started it.
blueprint. He's the godfather. He's the podfather, as we called him and continue to call him. So just the fact of having that voice in this space, like just putting my voice out there, because that's one thing he always told me when we had our conversations, like you just need to speak. You need to tell the people what you feeling, and your what's the word I'm looking for? My opinions in this space. He said he always would tell me it's incredibly important that you share your views. Let the people hear you. Let the people hear you. Like he would repeat that over and over and over. And after a while, I was just like, all right, I get it. But now, like, I really get it. Like how important that is. So definitely Combat Jack. Ben, from
Yeah,
especially from a creative perspective, because he has a very brilliant creative mind. So I, especially as a writer, like I take a lot from that. And then just in general in the geek space, like people who just maybe inspire me in different facets.
yeah,
Nichelle Nichols,
yeah.
horror. I mean, that was one of my old AKAs, the horror of the spaceship. So always a horror. Also being a longtime Star Trek fan, that was always a big deal to me. She was and will always be a big deal to me.
You're a Trekkie.
Um, yes.
Yeah.
Let me put that out there, Star Trek and all that stuff. But um, her Mae Jemison,
Yep.
the first Black female astronaut,
Astronaut. Yep.
and I actually met her a couple of years back at Comic-Con, and that was wild because she's always been my hero. I remember, I think it was middle school, I believe, and I had to write an essay,
Hmm.
and I wrote about her, and just I'm an adult now, and to be able to talk to her and
Hmm.
talk, like I was talking to her about like force fields and stuff. I was just like, I was bugging. I was just like, oh my god, yo, I'm talking to a real life astronaut, a
Yeah.
black woman astronaut, a scientist. Like I'm talking to my hero. A lot of people say, oh, yo, don't never meet your heroes because they disappoint you. Not this time, fam.
Right.
Like that was incredible, and I'm just lucky. Um, and just I guess more closely my own family, my
Right.
grandparents,
Mhm.
my grandfather being an engineer, my grandmother always listening to me and pushing me in my creative spirit, my parents obviously.
Mhm.
I mean, I feel like I'm at like the Source Awards already. I'm giving an acceptance speech, but
Is that how I'm coming off there,
no,
man?
no, no. That's how I feel. I'm coming off like, I like to thank my moms and my parents and my third grade teacher. Like, but no, I have different people who have influenced and helped me to kind of push myself in this space.
Nice. Now,
Mhm.
now, no. I walked past a picture of Mae Jameson in my in elementary school. I passed by this picture every God. They never changed the damn picture out. They never moved it. Stayed in the same damn spot all the time, man. The fact that you brought her up now, I'm thinking about that in my head. Yo,
Yeah, it was the wildest experience, and I'm real happy. I met Neil deGrasse Tyson again,
oh
interviewed him at Comic-Con again. I mean, he's another big hero. Like he has a little bit of an attitude, but to me, he was fine. I'm just talking about in general. Like some of the stuff he says is a little questionable,
yeah,
but I still fucks with him as an intellect.
right.
Um,
I would find
yeah,
somebody like him to like be upset at answers because they're not antiquated in his type of fashion or anything.
yeah.
I feel like if he's that damn smart and he's too smart for me, like I feel like any answer I give is gonna make him upset,
Yeah,
whether
I mean,
even if it's correct.
like we had a great conversation and he was very nice to me. It's just that some of the stuff I've heard him say outside of that, I was like, I
Right.
don't really agree with you, sir, but
Yeah.
I respect you.
Hmm. So as far as for our nerds, where do you see it evolving to? Probably like in the next 5 years.
Well, similar to the answer I gave a little bit ago about wanting it to be a platform, like a massive platform.
Yeah.
Foreigners is not just a podcast. Like it's a brand, and I present it in that way, and I express it in that way because it's comprised of the original content that we make.
Mhm.
And again, that includes the interviews we do, but also like in the past, I think we were like doing skits and stuff. Or plan on doing skits and stuff. We do live events.
Yeah.
Before COVID, we were actually producing a lot of live events, like whether it's panels or game nights and things like that. A lot of that has just changed to be virtual, but it's still happening.
It's true.
Um, Group events like, and we yes, we produce our own podcast, but we also produce other podcasts. So you mentioned all the show side podcasts for the show, but we also had a podcast that was strictly dedicated to anime.
Mm.
Called Outlaw Bars, and that was hosted by 3 Black women. Then we had a show that was strictly dedicated to horror, and so our goals really are it's just the expansion of the brand to
Right.
be an umbrella where other people can I want to say just increase their own capacity, right?
It's
So,
true.
if someone, again, maybe we'll bring back that anime portion of it. Like we had a whole like anime pillar, like a whole horror pillar. Then there was a wrestling pillar. Like I
Mhm.
want it to be that space. And I don't want to say I want it to be the Black X because I hate that shit. Like
Right.
when people say, "Oh, yo, this is the Black Bill Gates" or something like that. Like I hate that shit.
Ah.
Like nah, nah, nah. Like we are who we are. We are
Mhm.
for the people by the people type shit,
Right.
FUBU type shit. So I want it to be a larger platform and a way for others to get put on. And it has operated that way. I just want it to operate in that manner, but just even bigger,
Hmm.
just on a bigger scale.
Now, let me ask you this, because I know how you talked about how you don't mind being inside, but do you miss the conventions?
I'd be lying if I said yes. I miss traveling. I miss traveling. I will
Okay.
say that
Got you.
I was I didn't realize how busy I was or how much I was moving around until we had to sit down. Until March came, they was like, sit your ass down.
Hmm.
I probably was on a plane every other week. I was probably at some event, every other day, shooting something, talking to somebody, interviewing some. It was a lot. I didn't realize how much it was because I like to work.
Right.
So I like to be busy too. So I don't think I miss the convention as much as I miss I mean, technically it's work, but I miss talking to
Hmm.
our guests and our talent and making
Right.
connections. I do miss that. But I like being home. I like doing this.
Yeah.
I don't mind it. Now I mean I miss getting dressed up and put on
Mhm.
costumes and stuff like that, but
Right.
that'll come back.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully in due time.
Yeah.
But as far as like your individual projects, what are we looking forward to from you in the future?
Yeah. Ben Hameen and I are working on some stuff that you're gonna get mad. We can't talk about it.
That's fine.
It's gonna be announced soon, and once it's announced, then we'll talk all about it. But yeah, it all deals with writing. I will say that.
Mhm.
Um, I've had and it was so funny. I was thinking about it. I didn't realize it was still this happens this year because this year has been ridiculous. But I worked with Marvel a couple times.
Yeah, when you did
Um,
Marvel Voices earlier this year.
yeah, I did Marvel.
People think that that's last year. That was this year.
I thought it was last year, and I'm the one who's in the book. Like I thought it was last year, bro.
Right.
So, no, like working on with Marvel Voices issue 1, and that dropped this year.
Yeah.
Oh wow, for Black History Month, and it's basically just a series of comic book stories by different writers
Mhm.
and artists stuff like that. But it also had a companion series of essays. About different not necessarily like topics or themes
Mhm.
of Marvel Voices. So mine's particularly was about tech and all, and how the tech, like the different tech of Marvel related to the tech of real life, but
Mm.
make it Black. So I did that, and I was
Right.
talking about Black women inventors and how that correlates to people like Shuri, and Riri Williams,
Yeah.
and so I talked a little bit about that in my essay. And that essay it was originally just on marvel.com, but my essay is actually printed in the comic book now.
Ah,
So
see?
yeah, as far when the reprint went out in November, they were like, oh yeah, all y'all stuff is getting like y'all essays are in the comic. So to be able to say, yo, I'm in a Marvel comic book, like officially, like
Yeah.
valid, That's amazing. So,
Word.
yeah. And then I did another thing with them where it was Marvel Make Me a Hero, where they literally drew you into a superhero based on what you told them, like what the hero should look like, what their powers should be, why they exist. That was another incredible experience. Shout out to Nelson Blake III, incredible artist. He's been down for Mad Marvel projects as well.
Right.
He drew me as the hero, and again, just it was another shocking like Mae Jemison type moment. I was just like, my God, like this is real.
Like I'm about to be in this joint.
Yeah. So but yeah, I mentioned those projects because I'm like, I'm still doing stuff like that. Like I'm still moving towards doing more projects like that with other groups. Hopefully I'll get another opportunity with Marvel, who knows.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, for me, it's really mainly a lot of writing, lots of creative writing right now.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, shoot, Tatiana, I appreciate you doing this. Thank you very much. Tell everybody how they can see basically your work. C4 All Nerds. Let us know.
Absolutely. And thank you. I want to thank you, James. I really appreciate you. And I'm humbled that you even asked me to be here. Did you want to even talk to me? So, and I appreciate the fact that you're a big supporter of our show and our brand and stuff. I really thank you.
No, not a problem at all. Absolutely. I mean, I'm going to continue to be a fan.
Thank you.
Because I feel like what you and Ben do is extremely important to the culture, not only nerd culture, but Black culture in general. I mean, I know people don't like you said, don't like to label everything as the Black Bill Gates or anything like that. But the dynamic between you two and what you guys put out there for everybody to see on a large platform is needed.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. To answer your question, you can find me. I'm on you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Tatiana King. If you also happen to be on Clubhouse, I'm on there now. Tatiana King.
Same.
I mean, I've been there in a while, but just add me, just follow me. But you can find For All Nerds. Here goes the spiel. We are on just about every major podcast platform, including Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, or Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. We're everywhere, absolutely everywhere. I think the only place we don't exist is Tidal, and that's okay. Still love the J&B. You can please, you can subscribe to us there. You can find us also on Twitch, because between Ben Hameen and I, we live stream our gaming. We also stream the shows, so when we're recording, we actually play those. Twitch.tv/forallnerds. Just make sure you're following us there. If you got the coin, subscribe to us, have a blast, give us some bits, whatever you like. We appreciate it. And then also I want to mention our Patreon page. You mentioned before that, we were talking about, who's the upper management. I'm upper management, but because we're upper management, we have to handle everything ourselves. So we're all self-funded, right, which means we do rely on the financial contributions of our supporters. So for patreon.com/forallnerds. And this is going to sound funny, but just for only $1 a day, you too can support a Black podcaster. So not $1 a day, but
I just sounded like the United Negro College.
No, it's a monthly platform, but if you want to help us continue the journey, and I'm talking to people who are listening, if you want to help us continue the journey, continue supporting Black creativity and Black production and all this stuff, and really, like I said, we talk about how we talk about geek and pop culture from the perspective of people of color. So we're here for our brown brothers and sisters, like we're here for our brothers and sisters of color. So if you down with that, you like what you hear, definitely support us, and we appreciate it. And all the money goes right back into everything we do, our production. We pay our engineers, like everything goes right back into the business.
Dope. And shout out to Loudspeakers Network.
Shout out to Loudspeakers Network.
Word, because
yeah,
I feel like every single podcast within that network is just doing fabulous shit.
Absolutely, and and I will always be grateful for that. Shout out Chris Morrow.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Tatiana, it's been real. Appreciate you doing this once again, and please do yourself a favor and check out For All Nerds on any podcast platform. They dope as hell, and it makes it worthwhile as far as it being interesting, as far as geek culture is concerned, because we don't necessarily get to collaborate that much and talk amongst each other. We pretty much have the same topics and everything like that, and then all of a sudden it gets brought out there to the open. But everybody has a different perspective, everybody has a difference of opinion and everything like that, and it's cool, it's okay.
Yes.
So just do that.
It's okay.
It's okay to have a different opinion. Word. So Facts Project, and we out.